I'm going to create this lovely hairstyle for you step by step. If you like it, subscribe already and get that out of the way, and then just concentrate on what I'm doing here. So I'm taking a parting, I'm kind of almost halving the hair, but I'm doing it from one corner of the eyebrow to the other end of the ear on the other side, and you can see that more clearly in just a second. So once the sectioning is done, put the top half of it away, just pin that off to the side, and then section off this side as well. Undoing the top side now. We're going to tease the top down to the crown of the head. So without any hairspray, I'm just doing 3 little 2-inch teases across the top there, and then throwing that across Maya's face, which is going to irritate her a lot. When you're teasing, take very thin sections and then pull down, and what you're going to trap is those little pesky small hairs that would stick up otherwise, as well as obviously give it some height and some body. But we don't want it too high, we just want to give a little bit of body and get rid of those little hairs. So once we get to around the nape, we're just going to take the side there and backcomb that bit. So when I was picking up the hair to do the center, I wasn't picking up the side, so this is the side that I'm picking up, and I just want to create a bit of volume towards the side so it doesn't look too flat across this ear. And then just using a bit of hairspray to just pick that hair up and pop back down, and then we're going to smooth that out just to make sure that there's no sort of straggly hairs and that it's not bumpy, that it's kind of a nice gradual puff. I couldn't find my Denman brush, so I'm using my little curling brush here, my blow dry brush. With your fingers, just kind of twist the hair, pucker it together in the center, and then just section them off to form that little puff. And what that will do is just set in that position, and then gently spray over the remaining hair and tease the top of it, the top that's visible towards you. You don't want to take the teeth of the comb all the way underneath, because we want the underneath smooth, because we'll be rolling this all into the tease so that it forms a nice sort of sausage. So now that the hairspray is set and the teasing is done, I'm happy now to put my clips in. I didn't do that before because sometimes when you're putting clips and you tease, it disturbs the top. So when you've got these clips in, it's not permanent. You can just pull them out and tidy up if you need to. In this case, I didn't need to, so I've put in those clips there, and those clips are going to hold that little puff in place, but they're also going to form the base for this roll to sit on. And when you pin inside the roll, which I'm going to do next, I'll be pinning into those pins, so it will really hold it in place. It's great for when you need your client or yourself to be dancing. So you'll notice that where my fingers are, or where I'm pinning, that area needs to be a lot thinner and closed, because that's the open side, whereas this side on the right that you can see towards you is going to form a C going up towards the front of the face. So I'm going to do this in 2 halves. I'm now going to do another roll here, so just taking a bit of hair and leaving some of that hair down. You'll notice that even on the other side I left some hair behind underneath. Just a thin amount you need to leave, but again, backcomb it, 2-inch, 1-inch backcombs just tight towards the root, spray that, smooth it, and then roll it upwards. I wasn't too impressed with the level of backcombing going on here. So we're essentially just doing the same. We're going to let this sit just above and behind the ear, and again making sure that the top side towards the face is flatter than the roll on the bottom, and we're going to try and join it with the other side. spraying down the remainder of the hair and then using a Tangle Teezer backcomb brush. The reason I've switched brushes is because this one's got longer teeth, and when you're taking thicker hair then it just makes more light work, and you can do it in one go rather than in separate sections. So the section is about 1.5 inches long. Once you're holding it sort of in place above the roll, I'm just going to start pulling out some of these ripples, as I call them, just pulling them out with my fingers a little bit more than you want it to set, because when you then pin back it kind of goes in a little bit. So pull them out, keeping them neat and trying to make sure that the pins don't, the hairs don't cross over to the other side, if that makes any sense at all. Spray as you need to go on, but don't spray too much. I am actually spraying quite lightly. It looks a lot on camera, but it's quite a light spray from a distance away, and that just sort of hardens it enough to keep them in place. And whilst the hairspray is drying, I tend to put in little pins to hold them separate so that they don't sort of stick together unknowingly without me knowing. And these are forming that gorgeous dark and light effect. So anything underneath is like in the shadow, and anything is up high and protruding, those ripples are catching the light. So once you've pinned the tails in, taking the first tail that you worked with, backcomb that, and then put a pin at the tail and roll that under to form a little bump. And then taking the other tail, we're going to use the same technique to create a ripple effect and then pin that over the top. So this bit that I'm working on is very exciting, and you can be as creative as you like. So I'm doing the first bit in harmony with all of the others. I'm creating that ripple effect, and then I'm going to pin that bit in place. And then with the tails, I'm going to split them to create a flower around that center bud. So what I'm going to do is split that into very thin slices, using pins to hold those thin slices away from each other. And then I'm going to use those to create ribbons and bands around this flower, and to form it and mold it in any shape that I wish by pulling at it, spraying, smoothing and pulling again. Gosh, this hairstyle looks like it has scaffolding on it. But once you're happy with how that's turned out, then just go ahead and look around the hairstyle, tweak where you need to, in this case the front, and then when you're happy, pull out all of those little bits of scaffolding pins, decorate it any which way you like. In this case I've taken a dicker from my new collection. I've attached, you can see the hook just on the top, an ear chain, and then once I've put the ear chain in, and just putting that towards the ear and finishing the hairstyle off. And because the dicker's quite heavy, it's going to stay in place on its own accord. It's not going to move around, and that back comb at the back was enough to hold the top in place with 2 pins without them moving, and then I cross pinned them both, and then just using the hairpins just to secure it on the other end, and that's the hair done. So like I said, if you liked it, then please do subscribe on my channel. I will have many more hairstyles to come. I've recorded the makeup look, which will come soon as well. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Bye.
I look so good. Somebody take my photo.